The NHL playoffs are here. The most exciting part of the season is coming, and in today's video, we'll take a look at the first round predictions. We're starting in the East with a matchup between the second and third place teams in the Metropolitan Division, the Pennsylvania Derby, the Pittsburgh Penguins versus the Philadelphia Flyers. The 7th and 8th seeded teams in the Eastern Conference, but due to the division system, they'll face off against each other, and one of these teams will advance to the second round, something no one expected before the season. Instead of battling for the first overall draft pick, they'll meet in the playoffs, and I'm expecting a high-scoring series, with plenty of emotion, especially among the fans, and a successful outcome for the Penguins. Philadelphia had a fantastic end to the season, and Porter Milton made an absolutely amazing entrance into the NHL, but Pittsburgh's experience will decide this series, and the Penguins will advance in 6 games. The next game features the Carolina Hurricanes against the Ottawa Senators, a matchup between the Eastern Conference champions and the second wildcard team. This marks Carolina's 8th consecutive playoff appearance. They are the clear favorites in the East, boasting a very experienced team, top-notch defensive system, and a smooth season behind them. But standing in their way is Ottawa, which has dealt with a media scandal this year, Ullmark's personal issues, poor penalty killing, and injuries to key players. The end of the regular season was a tremendous run that brought the Senators back to the playoffs, and in their last 15 games, they've had the second-best form in the entire NHL, right behind Carolina. Speaking of Ullmark, I must note that the goaltending situation is Carolina's biggest question mark. Frederik Andersen is having the worst statistical season of his career, Pyotr Kochetkov missed the entire year due to injury, and Brandon Bussi is a rookie who has never played in the playoffs. Furthermore, none of the goalies has played even 40 games. Furthermore, they didn't make any moves at the trade deadline, and even though they're the top favorite in the East, I don't think they'll hold their ground, and the Senators will be celebrating in Game 7. Buffalo Sabres versus Boston Bruins. After a 15-year wait, Buffalo has finally made the playoffs, and did so by winning the Atlantic Division. The atmosphere at KeyBank Center will be electric. The Sabres have a very well-rounded team, and their defense has been bolstered ahead of the playoffs, though they lack experience in the postseason. Boston has a more experienced team, led by the trio of Pastrnak, McAvoy, and Swayman. Jeremy Swayman, in particular, is capable of stealing the series, and I think he'll be great, but it won't be enough for Boston to advance. Buffalo will win in 6 games. The remaining Eastern Conference matchup, the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Montreal Canadiens. This is the series I'm looking forward to the most out of all the first-round matchups. Their game a week ago featured plenty of fights, high emotions, and a Canadiens victory. The atmosphere in Montreal will be electric. Hudson, Caulfield, Slavkovsky, Suzuki, they are all in top form, and Jakub Dobes has been playing really well in goal since the Olympics. Plus, this young team already experienced the playoffs last year against the Capitals. Facing them is Tampa, which still has players who have won 2 Stanley Cups. Moreover, Nikita Kucherov scored 130 points this year, his second highest total in his career. Tampa has been plagued by injuries all year, especially on defense, and I think Tampa's older team won't be able to keep up with the fast and dynamic Montreal. Montreal will advance on home ice in Game 6. That was the East, where the matchups had been known for several days, and now we're moving to the West, where we didn't find out the individual matchups until the final day of the regular season. The Colorado Avalanche versus the Los Angeles Kings. The team that earned the most points of any team and the team that earned the fewest points among the playoff qualifiers. The Kings won only 22 games in regulation time, have a very poor power play and penalty kill, and don't play very exciting hockey, and the number 1 spot has been taken over by number 2, Anton Forsberg. Still, everyone is happy they made it. Because Ants Kopitar deserves a playoff send-off. Will he be saying goodbye in the first round? I think so. Colorado has Marker back in the lineup, though the question is how healthy he really is. A big question mark will be Martin Necas, who recorded his first 100-point season this year but has never performed well in the playoffs. The Avalanche have the best penalty kill in the league, but surprisingly, they've had as many as 27 power plays, which is very unusual with Marker and McKinnon on the roster. However, they won't have to deal with these minor issues until the second round, because they'll win this series in 5 games. Dallas Stars vs Minnesota Wild. A matchup we've known for most of the season would happen, but unfortunately, due to the division system, it's already in the first round. Both teams have the highest ambitions. Dallas traded for Mikko Rantanen last year, and Minnesota acquired Quinn Hughes this year. Both teams have excellent power plays. Dallas has the second best in the league, and Minnesota has the third. It's sure to be a great series, and in my opinion, a lot will depend on whether Miro Heiskanen is healthy. If he can play at full strength, I believe in Dallas. Without him, it will be very difficult. Minnesota didn't bring in a center for their top two lines, and because of that, I believe Dallas will advance after a very close battle in Game 7. Utah is making its first ever NHL playoff appearance, where the Mammoths will face off against the Vegas Golden Knights. Since taking over, John Tortorella has spurred the Golden Knights to great results, and Carter Hart has also started playing well, which is the biggest question mark, since goaltending has been Vegas's main problem. But they are a seasoned playoff team. Utah, on the other hand, is fairly inexperienced, but they have a very strong defense, bolstered by Mackenzie Weegar, and a goalie who's currently leading the league in wins. I'm predicting Utah will advance in Game 7, which is largely wishful thinking, and I have to say I'm most curious to see if Mitch Marner can break his playoff curse. The Anaheim Ducks are returning to the playoffs after an 8-year absence, and they'll face a very tough opponent in the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton will attempt to reach the finals for the third consecutive year, and they will certainly be led by Connor McDavid, who has already won his 6th Art Ross trophy. On top of that, Edmonton boasts the league's best power play, with a success rate of over 30%. A major concern is the injured Leon Draisaitl and the goaltending situation, again. Connor Ingram will be the starting goalie, and it remains a big question mark whether he can handle the mental pressure of that role. Anaheim had a great start to the season after the arrival of new coach Joel Quenneville, but the finish was disappointing, and the Ducks' defense is the 4th worst in the league and the absolute worst among playoff teams. That's why I expect this to be the highest scoring series of all, with McDavid in particular racking up point after point and leading Edmonton to a 5-game series victory. For the Ducks' young core, this will be their first valuable playoff experience, and in a few years, players like Dostal, Lacombe, Gauthier, Carlson, and Seneke could rise to the top, but it certainly won't happen this year. Those were my predictions for the first round of the NHL. What results are you expecting? Please let me know, and bye.